What's up, you guys? This is my M235. It's pretty much full bolt-on. It's got the BMS JB4 tune, ER catless downpipe, ER charge pipe, ER frontline intercooler, BMS intake. That's pretty much it for power. I did a few cosmetic things to the car, such as a gloss black roof wrap, carbon fiber mirror caps, and also a carbon fiber spoiler. I have also 15 millimeter spacers on.
I've seen this car go from being completely stock to where it is today, and it has come a really long way in terms of power and even looks. I mean, I really like the styling of this car, and well, as far as it really grows on me. The more and more I drive it, it just really grows on me, and I like it more and more every time I drive it and just am in it or just see it. I love the red, the color of this car. It's a really nice red. It's just a really bright, vibrant, popping red. It's not one of those really dark kind of washed out reds, and it's not too bright. It's subtle enough to where it looks clean and it's not too busy, but it also is very aesthetically, pleasing. So just walking around the car, it's pretty clean. This is like I said, now that I have the M3, I have a lot more appreciation for BMWs as I learn more and more about them. But yeah, pretty clean looking car, gotta admit. So the interior of the car is pretty simple but sleek. It's not too busy, and it's also not too bland. It's a pretty good combination of being clean and just very easy to like. So I don't know what happened to the camera just now, but you can see the pedals. I like the pedals in this car a lot. They have lots of good grip and just really easy to feel and grip with really any kind of shoe, which is a funny thing to say, but it actually does make a difference. The seats are fully automatic and have the memory seats, which I miss on the M3. It was really nice to have. Seats actually have pretty good bolstering, especially when you adjust them. These seats are surprisingly good. They really hold you pretty tight, which is, like I said, pretty rare for a stock seat. But I like the steering wheel in this car a lot too. It has really nice feel to it, and good hand bolsters. Steering controls are easily accessible. Nice little M badge right here. Gauge layout is simple, easy to read. You have your headlight controls down here, your radio up here, which you can toggle through different modes and stuff, and see information about your car and everything, which is nice. AC controls down here. This car is a 6-speed manual, which is a really good transmission. We'll talk about that more later. Have a dial for the nav, and yeah, it's a pretty, like I said, a pretty simple interior. You have a pretty actually roomy back seat, and pretty big trunk also. Like I said, the engine bay doesn't really have too much to see, so let's go ahead and jump in and go for a drive. Alright guys, so we're in the M235i. As I've driven this car before, when it was stock, when it was slightly modded with just a tune, and now where it has pretty much full bolt-ons and then the tune with the E85 mixture. And the car is just, like I said, progressed so much that it's pretty ridiculous how easy these cars can make power. The most recent power mod was an intercooler added in, which helps keep it a lot cooler, runs a lot more consistent, can just feel a lot more cool air in through the car, especially when it's a little hot out like it is today. So definitely a nice thing to have. The first thing I want to talk about in this car is the most obvious, which is to me the different modes. So you have an eco mode, you have a sport mode, you have a sport plus mode, and then you have a comfort mode, I believe. And the eco mode is obviously like a gas saving kind of just really toned down map for the car, so you're conserving gas and not really hitting lots of boosts and stuff. So kind of like a harder throttle response, not as like touchy, so it's a lot easier to drive and just cruise around. The cruise mode loosens up the suspension a lot. It makes it just kind of like more of a luxury car, like the BMW type feel, that it's just a lot spongier, a lot more comfortable, and it doesn't really feel very sporty. Sport mode is, I think, what the car defaults to, and it has a stiffened up suspension, improved throttle response, which makes a big difference, and then Sport Plus is what you want to be in when you're driving the car aggressively. You have even more improved throttle response, and you can definitely feel it. It just is definitely a lot touchier. Like right now, I just went into sport mode, and the throttle is instantly just changed. So it's definitely a lot better for like downshifting and accelerating. So like I said, the different modes do actually work though. In some cars, when they have different modes, I feel like it's kind of more gimmicky. It doesn't always work very well. But this system that BMW has, you know, it works very well, does its job very well, and it isn't gimmicky at all. It actually has a purpose, which is nice, because, you know, some days you just want to be cruising, other days you want to be going fast and racing people and going through canyons. So definitely nice to have a system that works. Sound system of this car is a Harman Kardon, which is usually pretty common in BMWs, and it sounds really good. It's very adjustable. You can get it to sound like a really high-end sound system. Lots of bass, really good clear audio. The steering wheel, like I mentioned earlier, is a really nice feeling wheel. It's a little bit large, but that's okay, because it's very, like I said, smooth, comfortable to hold, and the hand bolsters are great. It gives you really nice steering feel, good steering position. Steering response is good. It's not too touchy to where it's like crazy heavy. The BMWs usually have heavier steering than most cars. You know exactly where the car is going to go, and it's going to go exactly where you point it. The clutch on this car is really interesting. It's really forgiving. The clutch is very easy to predict, and it's honestly hard to mess up a smooth takeoff in this car. It's just so easy to drive. Engagement is smooth. Not a whole lot of pressure, not a whole lot of effort to get the pedal fully depressed, and you always know where that engagement point is. I like how the clutch pedal is kind of like on the Evo. It's a little bit higher up, which is just a little bit better in my opinion for, you know, it's just more comfortable for me. The gearbox in this car is phenomenal. It's completely stock, no upgraded bushings or anything, and it's not too stiff, because I really don't like gearboxes that are, you know, you're struggling to fight to go into gear, you don't know what gears you're in. This gearbox, very easy to tell what gear you're in at all times. It's very smooth, easy to shift quickly. The stock shift knob is heavy enough to where, like I said, it's just comfortable, you can shift quickly, and it has a good feel to it. It really, you know, it's a good feel when you have your hand on it, and really any position, it can really adhere to your hand. So, really like the stock shift knob in this car, you know, really no complaints there. The whole shifter and transmission in general is very smooth, very fluid, and doesn't really have any issues locking me out of gears. I don't have issues like in the morning when I do cold starts with it locking me out of gears. So it's just a very well put together tranny. It's also pretty strong from my understanding. It can take some power, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
it's the same transmission you would find in like an M3, M4.
Oh yeah, so good to know. I remember you mentioned that to me earlier. So yeah, it is a really good tranny. It's, you know, it's been proven to take some power. The onboard display is pretty cool. It shows, like I said, when you switch your different modes, it even shows you like what's changing on the car. So we just went into comfort mode, and it just shows you you're in comfort mode. We go into sport, shows you have a sport oriented drivetrain and chassis settings, and then Sport Plus shows, you know, you get your traction control partially disabled, and the improved throttle response and suspension. So we're gonna go up here, cruise around a little bit, do a few pulls for you guys, and show you what this car can do. The suspension of this car is also good. Like I said, when it's in the sport settings, it's not crazy stiff, but it's also not too soft. This one is stiff enough to where it can take some turns, but it's also very daily drivable. You know, you won't really be complaining about hitting bumps or anything like that. So it's very livable, and it's still sporty enough to where it gets the job done when you want to put it through its paces. The tune from BMS that has been tweaked around a little bit and data logged a lot, you know, it runs really well. Super smooth tune. It runs like a stock car, and it's nice how you can change like your gas gauge into like boost gauges. You can switch maps on the fly, and it's an auto learning map, so that if you have different octane levels or different temperatures, the car automatically adjusts, which is absolutely amazing. So you don't have to like worry about having a bad fuel mixture or about the car running poorly under different weather conditions, which is, I think, pretty great. And
if the car is running really poorly, the tune it'll throw you in a safety map.
Yeah, so it's a really safe setup, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's pretty dummy proof, I'd say, right, Sam? I mean, it's pretty hard to mess up this tune and to really do damage to your car. This car is, didn't you say that if it is detecting like nog or you know, bad conditions, that it'll cut you off, kind of like a fuel cut type situation, so you don't do damage to the car, which is really nice, because some people, actually we'll go right, some people, you know, they tend to ignore, or they don't really know like how they're setting up their car. Like I can't even tell you how many people locally I've seen with like their Subarus and Evos where they have an access port or whatever, they load on the wrong map, especially with the Evos. There's so many different map choices, like stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and it's really hard to tell for some people what map to put on the car, so they load on the wrong map for their mods, and they end up messing something up because the car's not running properly. At least with this, the car is learning and adapting, so it's pretty hard to mess things up, which I think is great. Yeah, it's a luxurious enough car to where if you're looking for something comfortable, it's a really nice middle ground between being a sports car that, you know, really performs well and being a car that's comfortable and luxurious. So I really like that about this car, how you can be luxury car when you want to be, you can be sports car when you want to be. It's, you know, you can just flip a switch and you're either one. You don't really have to make any sacrifices in that aspect. Wow, power comes on so smoothly that it's almost like you don't know what's happening. Like when it starts to spool up, it hits, and then once you get around like 5,000, you can really feel it pull you back in your seat, which this car isn't very dramatic. Like in my last review of the Evo, Mark's talking about like dramatic cars and like all the drama when you go like wild open throttle. This car is not very dramatic. It's not very like hard to keep under control. It's very smooth, and it puts down the power very smoothly. So it's not like crazy, like you're like always trying to like compensate to get the car from going squirrely and stuff or anything like that. So let's drop it to third, roll into a third gear. So we'll get up to like 4 grand and then roll into it. Wow. And the brakes in this car are very good also. I gotta give it BMW some credit. These brakes are great. When you code these cars, you can get so many cool functions, like having the windows roll down from your keys and just disabling seatbelt chimes and just all kinds of stuff. Like, these cars are very customizable. This might be the best gearbox I've ever felt for a manual transmission. It is that good. It's smooth. It's just notchy enough to where, you know, you can feel what gear you're going into and know where you are. You're confident what gear you're going into. The clutch is excellent. Do you know like how good these clutches are in terms of like holding power? Like, do they tend to go out easily, or are they pretty strong?
From what I've read, they're pretty strong, but you know,
anything can happen, of course.
Right,
the driver plays a big role in that, but if you drive it responsibly, you're not burning the clutch constantly, not always launching it, you should be all right, is I guess the point that we're trying to make. So like I said, this gearbox is always a treat to drive. I just can't get over how good it is.
It has a longer throw, and I think for me at least, it kind of helps me.
Yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of short throw shifters myself. I had one in my STI, I had one in my Z, and it's just, I'm not really a fan. It makes it a little bit too notchy, and it's just kind of I like having the stock throws, and it just is a lot smoother that way. So let's see.
Second gear.
So yeah, let's go second gear, 4K, and roll into it.
All the way.
Man, it's incredible. How does it feel being in the passenger seat? Because you've never been in this car with this setup doing a pull, have you?
I have not. It feels...
I mean, how does it feel compared to the driver's seat? Because I can tell you, I got a ride last night, and it feels like it pulls you harder in the driver's seat.
I agree, yeah.
Which is really strange. Usually cars pull you a lot harder when you're in the passenger seat. This car pulls you harder in the driver's seat. Because, you know, you can anticipate as the driver when the power is going to hit. But this car, it's really weird. It pulls you, like I said, just harder back. I actually feel myself getting sucked into the seat. And it's just oh man, this car is so great. It's just the way it puts down the power, amazing. I'd love to compare it against my Evo before I do my big turbo setup, which is a little bit of a spoiler for you guys because I haven't announced it on YouTube yet. So, like I said, it's around 400 wheel horsepower. How much torque would you estimate? Like, it's pretty torquey, right?
I'm guesstimating 440, 450.
Okay, and we are going to plan on putting this car on a dyno jet in the near future, so we're going to actually get some more accurate horsepower readings, because it's the same dyno actually that BMS, Burger Motorsports, uses to get their baseline readings and stuff for their tune. So it should be pretty accurate comparison to what kind of numbers they're saying you should be getting and what the car's actually doing. So the intercooler, you know, I don't feel any loss of power. We've done 3 pulls so far. The car does not feel any slower. If anything, it feels faster. Sometimes when it's really hot out like this, the car will feel a little more boggy and kind of sluggish and just like it's kind of slowing down. But this car just keeps on kicking. takes anything you throw at it. This car is driven, you know, not like stupid hard, but it's put through its paces. I mean, Sam enjoys the car, he drives it like it's meant to be driven, but he's also responsible enough with it to where he's not banging gears everywhere he goes. So I think that's an important middle ground when you have a sports car, is, you know, not always be banging gears, but you gotta enjoy your car. First gear throws you back. I think we're pretty much done. We're gonna wrap up this review here pretty soon. I think we covered pretty much everything, right? I mean, on an ending note, the car is great. I really don't have any gripes. The only thing that I would really complain about is, like, if we want to make more power in this car and go past the 400 horsepower threshold, I mean, you can't upgrade the turbos. You said that you can only do the compressor upgrade, right? So you're kind of stuck. Like, what would you really, how would you get this car to like the 500 wheel or more?
The thing is, the tuning on this car is very behind.
Because you said it hasn't been cracked yet. Cause it's a newer car and it hasn't been, you know, you can't do open source, right?
And BMW is very good in the way they encrypt their cars. So no company is able to, you know, flash these cars yet. And,
you know, I'm really surprised I don't have much more to say about this car in terms of things I don't like. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Sam's M235i. Like I said, it was featured on the Smoking Tire, Matt Farah's channel, for a one take. I'll link that in the description box down below if you want to check it out. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Give me some feedback. I'm going to try to be doing more of these reviews in the future if I can find cars. So, like I said, if you guys have driven an M235i, let me know what your experience was with the car. And if you haven't, I'd recommend you go try one out and just see how good it is if you're in the market for a new car. Yeah, leave me some feedback. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.